Before we get started, I would like to honor and acknowledge the indigenous land and lifeways that I'm zooming in from. Malcolm X said, if you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. If you pull it out all the way, that's not progress. Progress is healing the blow that the wound made. Healing the wound that the blow made, and they haven't pulled the knife out yet, much less healed the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there. So we admit the knife is there, as well as the gun and all other methods of genocide and slaughter that has brought us here today. And we commit to the full scope of healing and progress, not only pulling out the knife and other weapons and healing the wound, but providing restitution and restoring equity and parity through holistic decolonization and indigenizing methods and efforts that lead to freedom, liberation, and sovereignty. I take this time now to acknowledge that I am zooming in from the territory of the dispossessed Pawtucket and Massachusetts, on the continent known to many Native communities as Turtle Island. And I acknowledge that as scholars and inhabitants here at Harvard and in Cambridge, we benefit from the continued dispossession of indigenous lands and peoples. We'll also like to acknowledge the braided histories of slaves and freed slaves who were forcibly stolen and brought to these lands, and the intertwining of these histories with the stories of immigrants who worked in the kitchens, the houses, and the fields. So today we celebrate the achievements and resilience of Native communities and use our position to amplify the voices of indigenous students even here on campus. We respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gathered is occupied and unceded territory. We honor and give thanks and gratitude to the Pawtucket and the Massachusetts, the ancestral traditional stewards of this land throughout the generations, who allow the enduring relationship that exists between indigenous peoples and their traditional territories, and the settler university to occupy these lands known in the Eurocentric epistemology as Harvard, the USA, and Cambridge. We pay respects to their elders, past and present, to teach our children that America was discovered erases the millions of indigenous peoples who were the original stewards of the land we now call the US. It also erases the indigenous peoples that thrive and care for this earth. As individual members of these institutions and systems, we can do more to move toward decolonizing practices in all aspects of our lives. So why do we do a land acknowledgement? The land acknowledgement comes from the desire of many Native people across the US and Canada to enter into the stream of public discourse, not as a noble memory, long past, or as a social problem, but as the progenitors of an ongoing relationship between people, land, and social and technical worlds. We do land acknowledgements to bring those voices and that relationship into these rooms. I ask permission from the elders of these communities to proceed with our convening because we do stand on Turtle Island on unceded territory. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations that can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in covering such truths at any and all events. You can begin by using websites such as native-land.ca.